Today we're taking a look at VeChain, which is a coin that has not been covered on this channel yet. We're going to effectively perform some technical analysis and make some price predictions for the future. Let's get into it. How's it going, guys? Ryan here and welcome back to another crypto video. Today we are performing technical analysis on VeChain, which is a coin that has not been covered on the channel before. But before we get into that, guys, please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it, and let me know down in the comments section below if you hold VeChain and what your predictions are for the coin in the future. And make sure, if you are interested in crypto, stocks, investing, and wealth management in general, you hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. We cover all that sort of cool stuff and much more on the channel. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into the technical analysis. Welcome to CoinSpot, guys. If you want to buy VeChain or any other cryptos, make sure you check out the link in my description. It's a referral link and it will effectively allow you to sign up to CoinSpot and start buying hundreds of different coins. But enough of that, let's have a look at the VeChain chart. And just looking at it briefly, it looks actually very similar to a chart we have just seen on my previous video, the XRP chart. There's a bit going on there, but in fact there are some slight differences on this one which are actually a bit more positive than what we were seeing on XRP. And the thing with VeChain is it doesn't have the same history as XRP does. So obviously let's take a zoom in and see what's happened in more recent history, because as you can see, there has been a lot of buying and a lot of selling throughout this period of time. So what's the first thing we notice? Well, obviously we have the big dump, as we've had on many coins, when the crypto market collapsed as a result of Bitcoin dropping quite significantly in price. This effectively established for us a short-term downtrend, which I will now demonstrate for you right here. Actually, let's use you. You're a much better candidate for this line. And there we go. Effectively what we saw was a channel had formed in a downwards direction, which was obviously as a result of the decline of the whole crypto market. But what we have seen in VeChain, unlike many of the other cryptos, is a break. We have seen that in the short term the trend has been broken right there, and what we can see is actually a doji candle. And for those of you who don't know what a doji candle is, it effectively looks like this, and it indicates, obviously without the squiggle, it indicates a point of indecision. And it effectively means if we see this at a bottom of a trend, it could be an indicator that a trend is about to reverse. In this case, what we actually saw was a point of indecision, and the downtrend did reverse, and in fact it didn't only reverse, it broke out above the channel. This is fantastic news, as it indicates that maybe we are not going to be following the same path as the majority of the crypto market. We might actually be able to go up in value. Now, an important point was formed though, and this is effectively where it's sitting at roughly now. This is a key area of support for us. As you can see, we've touched it just today, we've touched it 2 days prior. This was the breakout, it's hit there previously. There's been a lot of price action that has occurred at this point in recent history. So let's just grab our little tool here, draw a line over, and as you can see, we had even 3 consecutive days of price action at this point over here. This is a solid point for support. And it's pretty interesting that we actually managed to break through it, given that it would have acted as a large point of resistance previously. So this is a solid point of support. We want to make sure we stay above this point. And in fact, what I think we're going to see is the following. I think we're going to see that this was, I suppose, the bottom of the trend and this will then act as our indicator for a channel being formed. Now this is obviously only guesswork at this point, it's a pure prediction due to the fact that obviously we've only got 2 touch points and it's only been a few days. But if we can make this our new trend, then we will be recovering in no time. If we also take a parallel line, we can see that effectively something similar has occurred here. A channel is starting to form by the looks of it. So just keep that in, I'm just trying to line that up a bit more. Just keep that in mind. That is our best case scenario at this point in time. So what we're really looking for now is a bounce at this point here to see the recovery begin, because obviously we have seen other coins where the trend has been broken like this, but unfortunately then failed. But we've got 2 key points, which is good. Now, one thing I want you to look at is the sell volume on these 2 days. Even though we've dropped slightly, the sell volume hasn't been big. This isn't dropping as a result of, large dumps. Unlike this day here where we, clearly saw a big red candle right there indicating that there was a huge dump. So effectively instead these 2 candles are showing that the drop isn't on too much of a significant amount of value. So hopefully what we start to do is now bounce and start to trend in this sort of direction. We don't really want to look for like a massive breakout along this point, purely due to the fact that that will then introduce more volatility into VeChain. So that's ideally what we don't want to occur. Now let's look at the moving averages as well. They're always extremely helpful to work out exactly what's going on. And I'm going to add 2 of them in. My 2 favorite ones to use are, hold on, where are they? I cannot even see them actually. Hold on, let me just delete them and try and bring them back. Moving average, there's one. I don't know why it's not letting me. Unfortunately, it's not going to let us do it. So maybe what we're going to have to do is refresh. And let's see if it brings it up for us then. There we go, now we've got moving averages. And that's effectively what we want to be able to then determine exactly what's going on. We want the 20-day moving average and we want the 50-day moving average. Now obviously what we saw here was a very poor point. Once again, similar to the XRP chart, we saw that the short-term trend crossed below the long-term trend, which is not something we ideally want. So hopefully now that we've seen a bit of, an increase in the value of VeChain since the bottom around here, we start to see this line, instead of, continuing in this direction, instead we start to see it mellow out a bit and then move in this direction, if we can then continue that channel that we had seen formed in that point in time. But obviously this is a death cross and it's not a good indicator, and this will act as a point of resistance that we'll need to get through. So if we do move through that channel, it could potentially get knocked back from that point and we may move downwards even further. Now let's just have a look at worst case scenario as well, because I always like to keep it real with you guys. Make sure you guys understand there is always risks. So worst case scenario for support, I'm going to suggest that this point here, where there is a lot of price action that has occurred in the past, is going to effectively act as a hard line of support for us. If we go back, we can see, no, it hasn't really provided us any knowledge there. But if we then move, I suppose, to this point, after that, our next point of support would be, around about there. So we got a couple of points of support we can rely on should the trend up here fail and we start moving downwards. Now obviously these two will probably act as a small amount of support as well, which is good, but this is our hard support point right here. So just keep that in mind. If we unfortunately do see a break, then we will probably head straight for this point, which is at 0.069 roughly. So look for that. Make sure you keep an eye on the price if you are trading it. If you're in it long term, you know, same thing as we do in all these crypto crashes. We just sit, we hold, we ride it out. There's going to be volatility. It's a standard practice for any sort of market. I hope you found today's TA of VeChain quite valuable, guys. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're interested in seeing more of this sort of content, make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell notification button so you're alerted every time there is a brand new upload. I'd love to know your thoughts as well down in the comments section below on where you think VeChain's going to go in the near future. So with that, guys, I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.